Hello and welcome. Today I want to share my method for making a zine. And while I share with you some of the zines I've made in the past, I will tell you what a zine is. To be honest, it's a little bit difficult to explain because there are many different definitions. One of the definitions online that I thought was a good one to understand is a small circulation, self-published work of original or appropriated text and images, usually reproduced via a copy machine. That's one definition. Now, zine is short for magazine or fanzine, which is also short for a fan magazine. So there are a lot more, there's a lot more information and ways of making zines that you can find online. But the ones I like to make are, as you can see, kind of a mixed media zine. And the ones I've made are using one piece of paper. So I'm going to show you how to fold a zine, the kind that I'm making and that I like to make, with an 8.5 by 11 sheet of copy paper. So as you can see, I'm folding it in half lengthwise. And for this type of project, you really want to be as careful as possible and get your corners matched up, for the folds all matched up properly, because that's important. As you'll see, all the folding is important. To be honest, mine isn't always perfect because nothing I do is perfect, but it's close and it's good enough for me. So then you take your paper, unfold it, and fold it the other way, as you see there. Okay, so now you have your two folds and you have created four rectangles, as it were. Fold it lengthwise again, and then you will take each side and fold it inward, as you see there. You go right up to the other crease or fold that you've made. Fold that piece and then turn it around and do the same on the other side. Again, just trying to be as careful as you can with matching up your paper, because that will serve you well in the end, believe me. So once you've made all those folds, you can see you have 8 rectangles. I'm trying to count them there. So once again, you fold it in this direction, and you want to make a cut there where I'm indicating that line. So I hope this is self-explanatory as you watch me do it. You want to make that cut right there. And then you want to sort of pop up that part with the cut. You pop it up, push those two pieces forward, and then fold it. So this is where you kind of have to maneuver it a bit to get it lined up properly and make it as neat as possible. I have found that I always have the front cover is just a tiny bit off, but you can wiggle it around. You can, trim it if you need to, absolutely, on that front cover to make it work. But usually that folding method works well for me, and that's what I did with that zine that I'm showing you right there. I wanted to pop that one open to show you what it looks like when it's decorated. So you can see the cut that I made in the middle. That's going to be that part that I'm showing you there is right side up, and then the other side, as you're looking at it the other way, is looking like it's upside down, if that makes sense. So when you decorate, if you decorate it spread out like that, you just need to keep that in mind, that one side you're decorating it will be a up and down. I'm not explaining that properly, but I think you can see what I'm saying by by how I've decorated it. So in the other zines that I just showed you, I used some paint in the background, and then I decorated it, folded it back up, and then decorated it. So it didn't really matter as much which way was up and down. But for this zine, I mean, until I decorated it, and then it was already a little booklet, turned into a little booklet, so it was easy to decorate. But for this zine that I'm making now on camera, I just wanted to do something a little different, and I thought I would decorate it with some book pages and some other things I have there in the background, and then use my copies of vintage photos to be the focal images of each page. So I'm not using any paint for this project at all. You know, of course you can do anything you want. You can mix paper and paint, just paint anything. There's a lot of flexibility for this project. So I have pulled out some book pages, some sheet music, things like that, postage stamps. The papers in the upper right there are some digital images that I had already printed out. So I had those on hand, and I thought they would make some nice backgrounds for my vintage photos, which are also actually digital images. So I am going to show you how I decorate the background of the first, or really the whole, almost the whole thing of the first page, and then I'll continue with the rest of the booklet. Now I am leaving the cover, the front and back cover, to decorate for later because I just wasn't sure what I wanted to do at the moment, so I thought it would be easier just to start on the inside. So I want to have a mostly neutral background with a little bit of color to it, and just using a variety of different colors of paper on the background, including neutral sort of beige tones, but different colors, different types, different fonts, that kind of thing. So this is, I just kind of wing it and just start gluing things down and see what works and doesn't work. Again, trying to vary the colors of the background paper, even if they're all book pages, and the fonts and things like that. So I have that space there. In retrospect, I could have covered that up with some washi tape, but didn't have that idea at the time. And I remembered I had these labels that I had already also printed out, so I decided to use one of those. I thought it would make a nice bit of color in the background, but not too much, if that makes sense. I mean, black really isn't a color. So I wanted to use my my postage stamps as well, which I'll get to in a minute. I'm kind of jumping ahead. I have those labels in that little tin I thought I might use, but none of those seemed right. And I finally chose a different label, which is that one. And again, it's something a little bit different. It's going, and I'm putting it in a different orientation to just add some interest to the background, and then realize that I can just fill in that one little remaining spot with more of the book page. And my glue isn't completely dry, so I can just slip that right in and then glue everything down again. So that's how I finished up that background. I think I'd add a postage stamp, because I really did want to add one of those on each page. I like the look of those postage stamps, especially with vintage projects like this. So those are the little photos I have, and I just went through each of them, and when I got to one I thought looked nice on that page, I chose it, edged it with some brown distress ink, and I'm going to use that there. But once again, I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to put it, and I decided that it looked better at the top right there. But before I do that, I did want to add the postage stamp somewhere. And I like that one pretty quickly, which is rare. I usually have to try about a dozen or more stamps before I find the right one. And now I had a lot of empty space down there at the bottom after gluing everything down, but I decided that I would worry about that later. And you'll see how I finish that up. I knew I wanted to add words on there too somewhere, so I definitely have space for that. So that's my first page. I think it looks nice. All right, here are my other pages, how I decorated those. You can see I did the same process that I just followed. And while I was looking through my papers, I saw that pretty digital image that I had had on hand, and it's just part of a larger piece of paper that I had, and I thought it worked really nicely on the cover, and I thought that image of that woman worked really well with that too. So there's how I'm going to do the cover, just jumping ahead quickly because it's really the same process, but I just wanted to have something, especially nice on the cover, I guess. The red postage stamp matches nicely, I think, with the red in the background paper. So I think that works well. Glue that down, and then I'm going to use one of the black labels. It's in French, so I honestly don't even know what it says, but I'm hoping it's nothing inappropriate or really off base with what I'm putting together. I think it looks nice anyway. So that's the back of my cover there. I was thinking about adding something back there, but I decided against it. Okay, so I decided this project needed little scraps of lace on the cover and also each of the pages. So I pulled out a bunch of little lace scrap pieces, and I'm going to go through and add one to each page. And again, it's just looking at each scrap and figuring out what I think looks good. I'll put words on the other side. So I decided I'm going to use that piece there. I think it works really well there. I don't know, it's just a feeling that you have. You either like it or you don't like it. If I don't like it, I just keep going with my scraps until I find the one that I think looks good. So there, just obviously gluing that on, and then I'll come back in later and add the words. And then I just go through each page and do the same thing. So here's how that turned out. I added some lace and a button to the front cover, and then a little piece of lace on each page. I think it looks really cute, and the words. And on the back I added a little scrap also. And honestly, all these little scraps were just in my basket. Some of them were really little scraps that maybe somebody else would have thrown out. And then I thought adding a little sari silk ribbon would look nice for this particular zine. Just a quick little wrap up to say that I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you'll give zine making a try. It's a lot of fun to make these little booklets. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.